What's good, Lilia? What's up, Marina? All right. Okay, so let's get started. So, what's going on, everybody? And welcome back to the show. If you're new here, my name is Mitchell. Today's episode, I'm going to be talking about if you ever felt quote unquote not good enough. I do these YouTube lives every Saturdays at 12 p.m. Pacific time. So, if you guys are ever interested, come join the live. If not, and you're watching on a rerun, watch me on a rerun. All right, put me in your pockets, okay? And listen to this because it'll be good for you. It'll be good for you. Now, let's talk about a recap episode that I have, which was on life is change and growth is optional. Okay. The slide is on why it is difficult to begin. So for a lot of people, it's difficult to begin because we're creatures of habits. And being creatures of habits, we like to focus on things that we're comfortable doing, right? So doing anything outside of that, we get a little kind of we question it, right? It's like it's out of your norm. So why would you continue doing it, right? But if you think about doing things that are normal to you, it once wasn't normal. You know what I mean? So like, say for example, me going to the gym, eating the food that I eat now, that was not normal at the time. Now it's become a norm, right? So let's start with a quote by Ellen. I don't know who's Ellen who, I don't know. But all change is not growth. Okay? All change is not growth, as all movement is not forward. What's up, Cynthia? But you still have to try because no movement is staying stuck, right? Nobody likes to be stagnant. And at least if you made a mistake, you now have the experience and you're not going to do it again. Okay? And just because you make a dumb mistake, it doesn't make you dumb. So be careful with the story that you consistently tell yourself. All right? Now, but the world feels like it's constantly telling us that. You ever notice like social media, movies, ads, music, like all these type of what you want to call maybe propaganda, right? All movement is not forward. Yeah. Not always. All right. Now, majority of change is driven, not always, okay? But majority of like dramatic change is usually driven by negative emotions, especially how you feel, right? Say, for example, someone that's a little overweight and they're tired of being overweight. Or maybe they got out of a relationship and they no longer want to be in the same cycle of relationships, right? You're like, I'm trying to break this cycle of not being around these type of people anymore, right? Why do you keep attracting these type of people? So usually it stems from place that's of hurt, okay? Though it is a great motivational starter and more likely for you to begin, right? Long-lasting changes are less likely to sustain. So motivation is what get you started. Discipline is what gets you consistent, right? So you need discipline, you need consistency, right? So, because we're creatures of emotions, if it stems from a place of negative bias towards growth, the moment we're no longer in that ditch anymore, guess what happens? We find ourselves less focused now. We're not as focused on becoming better because we're like, I already got what I wanted. I don't need to do this anymore. No, absolutely not. You need to continue to be better. Now, it's like when I was trying to talk to someone and this person was like, all right, yeah, what I need to do to get better. And the moment this person found a girlfriend, he just completely stopped becoming the person that he wanted to be, right? Now, that was his character and character's destiny. So I'm not going to try to change that person. I'm just saying like, well, how serious are you, right? You need a reason. And his reason was very minimal. I just need to get by. And that's what most people kind of live by, right? They live in this realm of I just need to live to get by, and that's it. So now you get stuck in this fallacy, right? You get stuck in this fallacy of all or nothing. This is it, right? If this fails, I'm a failure. You're being unfair to yourself, right? Your definition of success is all or nothing, and that's not true at all, right? The best people make the most mistakes, and they continue to make more mistakes so that they no longer do it again. Okay? So basically, generalizing one specific event to your overall entire experience is not the best thing for you. Now, you might get lucky, but the moment you run into a wall, you think it's all over again, right? So I've seen a lot of great people that has a lot of potential, but guess what? The moment they hit the wall, they're like, forget it. I don't want to do it anymore. Save them. You know, one of my nieces, she's a really good dancer. Like, I don't know who taught her, where she got it from. Really great dancer. I was like, you dance way better than I ever did when I started. Maybe it's TikTok. I don't know. But anyways, great dancer. For some reason, she doesn't want to dance anymore. And I was like, okay, I'm not gonna force you, but I'm still gonna tell you, you're still a great dancer, and I still think you should do it, right? What's up, Tracy? Now, let's move on to the meat of the topic. Okay, so Mitchell has 4 slides that we'll be talking about today. That's my 0. So let me take a sip. All right. Now this has a lot to do. Well, credit to Psychology Today. Okay, so this entire slide, what's up, Evie? Has I credit to Psychology Today. So, now motivation is what gets you started. Habit is what keeps you going. ASMR. Okay, so credit to Psychology Today. I can't take credit for this. So, feelings of unworthiness are symptoms of low self-esteem. She said, "Don't touch me." Okay. Now you're messing everything up. Don't press my buttons. Hold on. Okay, you can just stay here. Okay, just stay here. Okay. Sorry about that. So, feelings of unworthiness are symptoms of low self-esteem. Our self-esteem improves when we identify our values. Okay, so keyword value, right? When we identify our values and regulate our behaviors to match our values, we can cope better with feelings of unworthiness when we recognize our common humanity with compassion. Basically, have some empathy for yourself, right? And realize that, hey, you know what? You're not perfect, and that's okay. And that's very important, right? So, how to know what you value. And these are some questions that they posted up, and I thought these were great questions, and I'm going to answer some of them. So, if you don't know what you value, here are a few questions to ask yourself, right? Let's take a moment and ask. You can ask yourself, you can write it down. I'd love to see it, but you can keep it to yourself too, but I'm going to answer it, right? So, make a list of the people you admire most. What specific qualities do you find admirable about them? Why do you find these qualities important? Now, when I was younger, 2006, almost 20 years ago. All right, 2006, right? The first person that I've really truly admired was Neo. I don't know why. I love this music. But then when I started watching his interviews, what I noticed was how consistent he was. Right? That's 20 years ago. Anyways, 2006, I was watching him, and the one line that that always stayed close to me was 2 words: don't stop, or 3 words if you want to break it up. But don't stop. Don't stop. And I was like, okay. And he was like, if you feel like you're put in this earth to do this, don't stop. Continue to do what you want to do, and don't stop. And then what I admire most about him was his consistency of being honest the whole time. Every single interview that he ever had was nothing but truth of what he said before, and even to this day. His 2023, almost 2024, his interviews are still the same. If you ask him that question, he answers it the same way, right? It stayed consistent, and that's something I value. So his honesty and his consistency, right? So that's something that I value, right? Do you have that? Who's that person in your life, right? There's a few other people that I admire. one of them being my master. So he taught me how to massage really, really well. Okay. And when I say well, not massage, I'm talking about acupressure, right? So I could fix someone's arm, I could fix someone's shoulder, right? Now, if it's a bigger injury, probably not. If it needs surgery, I'm probably not the guy for it. But if it's like, hey, I can't move my neck, I got you, right? Now, what I liked about what he does was he let his work speak for itself. He never really, now he will explain it to me. This is where you like, this is how you hit the pressure points. Can you fix hearts? I'm trying to, I'm getting there. So he was like, this is how this is how you do it. And then these are the pressure points. It's going to hurt like shit sometimes. They just got to deal with it. If they don't want to deal with it, it's on them. Find somebody else that's willing, right? And some people are willing to take in, others not, right? And so, and he was humble about everything, right? Are you talking about Evie? So he was always humble about things, and he just, he taught me, and he's humble, and he's great at what he does. And so for that, I was like, damn, that's someone that I look up to, right? Now, you don't, just because you look up to somebody, it doesn't mean you have to attribute everything that they do, right? Not 100%. Like, there's certain qualities, right, that you admire from a person. You don't have to admire 100% of them, but you could admire most of what they have, right? So Neo, my Sifu, right? And just being kind. So like my mom, right? She's a very kind person, right? Me growing up without a dad, I didn't really have a father figure, so I had to figure out a way. I used to be upset at a lot of things because I grew up and I was like, shit, I didn't have any of this, and I blame me not having a dad around, right? So instead I had a brother that, and then my brother didn't really teach me certain ways that, so I started blaming other people. But at the same time, what I realized was I got no one else to blame but myself, right? But at the end of the day, the main thing is, what's the solution? How can I fix this, right? How can I fix this? Oh, she's playing with things. So now moving on to the second question, right? Which is, what goals do you wish to achieve? What makes those goals important to you, right? So my goal is, so right now I'm a personal trainer, and I love being a personal trainer because I could physically change someone's confidence, how they feel about themselves, right? I might have to put it back in a bit. But so what goals, right? And so I was like, all right, I want to do that. I like doing it. I enjoy it, but it's not something that I love. What I do love to do is being able to change someone's relationship with themselves and to other people, because I feel that is possible because I've been through that. And if a regular ass dude could do it, y'all could do it too, right? I'm going to put her back. Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry. Okay, Evie. Making a mess. Yeah, shout out to moms. All right. Let's see. So what goals do you wish to achieve, right? And that's a goal that I want, right? That's my purpose. That's my drive. That's what I do. That's what I want to focus on, right? So a lot of the books that I have, things that I do, when I wake up, I like to think about it. I like to look at relationships. Like, why didn't this work? Why didn't that work, right? And there's certain things that you can control and certain things that you can't. I like to focus on things that I could control myself. That way I could see myself moving up, right? Now, say for example, if you dated someone that's unwilling to change, that's not your place. You can't change them, right? I think I was reading something on like, this is wife, and she likes to put in a lot of effort on herself, and her significant other, her husband, doesn't want to do that. So he kind of goes out looking like a bum, but she's all dressed up, right? And it makes her feel a little bit bad. But then also, she was asking in this forum, so she was like, am I being too shallow? Am I a shallow person because I want this? Now, one of the answers that I saw that was really, really good was, He was like, no, like it depends. Like when you first met him, was he that person to put in his best foot forward? Meaning he was dressed up, he was well groomed, he, he put in effort to come and see you, just like as much effort that you would want to see back, right? Now, if he wasn't, and you liked him the way he was, now you're trying to change him. Now that's something that maybe either A, you love him for who he is, or B, leave him and find somebody else that aligns with you a little bit better, right? Whether it's shallow or not, you have to align with something or someone that's aligned with you, because that's very important. Having similar goals and similar values, those are really important, right? And that's what makes a relationship work. And what makes a relationship more passionate is being who you are in your natural essence of your energy. So if you're a masculine dude and you like feminine women, the woman that you're around, that you should be around, is going to be feminine, right? But here's the caveat. If you stop becoming the man and you stop displaying behaviors of being masculine, guess what happens? She's going to fill in that void of being more masculine, and it's going to cause you to be like, what the fuck? You're starting to sound like that B word, right? Or that C word. And it's going to cause him to back away. Now she's in distress because she doesn't feel comfortable being in that. She doesn't want to be the one always telling you what to do. She expects you at some point to figure it out on your own, right? Now, I could go on forever about that, but basically life fills voids, right? So if that guy starts becoming that masculine role, she has to fill in that void because of what he's lacking. And that's not her natural essence. So she wants to be feminine. Feminine energy is about bonding, connecting, opening up to receive love, right? Having some uncertainty. So the masculine energy comes in and fills that in for her and be like, when she says, oh, I feel ugly today, or some feelings of uncertainty, he's going to fill in that void, be like, what are you talking about? You're beautiful, right? Making her feel a little bit more certain, right? Which is one of the 6 basic human needs, is certainty. Having certainty, right? Whether you're going to get food or that your significant other comforting you, feeling certain, right? Feeling more grounded, right? Now, masculine figure is more grounded. He's that rock in the ocean. He's unfazed. So to me, that is what masculine energy kind of represents. There's more to it, but that's what it represents. Nowadays, what I see on the internet is a lot of guys talking about, oh, you need a lot of money, you need to do this, and your status. And those are cool things, right? But like I said, money only magnifies who you are as a person. It doesn't make the person, right? So you could be a shithead and have a lot of money, or you could be a really, really kind person and still have a lot of money. It depends on who you are, and that's your character, right? So, went on a tangent, but yeah. What were your goals, right? My goal is to become the person that I want to be, doing my career that I want, and also love doing it. Love doing it. Relationship advice. The way she screams on media. Cardi B. They need marriage advice. Yeah, you'd be surprised. A lot of these I know celebrities, some, right? I'm not gonna name them, but I know some. They're not as big as they were before, but they're regular ass people. I'm like, yo, you got a stiff ass back. Why your back all fucking tight? I get it. You gotta show out this front, right? So anyways, third question is, what would you like people to think or say about you at your funeral, right? I'm pretty sure you heard that question before. So it's like, what do you want? What do you want them to say about you? I know there's some people that was once in my life, that's no longer in my life, that if they passed away, I wouldn't even attend. I got nothing nice to say. Right? Yeah. So, but what I would like is, me personally, is, I want someone to be like, damn, Mitchell was, he's kind of funny guy. He makes me laugh every now and then, but great thing is, like, he was always honest and he was consistent to who he was, right? I value communication. I value loyalty, right? And you should always let the person know what you want, this is what you want. And if you're indecisive of what you want and you go against that and you don't really tell them what you want, guess what's going to happen to you? You're going to stop operating from a place of authenticity, which I'm going to be going over in the next slide. So, but yeah, like that's the place you want to operate from, a place of authenticity. Okay. And that's what I want people to say nice things, right? I don't want people to feel bad for me. You know, I'm gone, right? Now, last question is, if you had no worries or anxiety about what others might think, what will you do with your time? And I'm slowly getting there. I'm slowly getting to the place where I want to be and still do this, right? Look, if I didn't make any money at all doing this, I will still be doing it. So guess what's going to happen? I'm going to be continuing to do this as long as I live, okay? Unless something changes, okay? Unless something changes and I'm like, I no longer want to do this. But me being me, I'm pretty stubborn. Once I find something that I like, I don't like to let that go. I usually don't, okay? Gaming, for example, right? I love video games, play games, right? I love dancing ever since I was a teenager, right? I've always continued to dance. I never stopped, okay? But anyways, when you feel unworthy, your mind tells you a story that you feel unworthy, right? So that's basically what your mind tells you. And be careful with the story that you tell yourself, because what we tell ourselves, your mind doesn't always tell you the truth. It's designed to protect you, okay? Yeah, maybe you shouldn't do that. Maybe it's a little bit too risky. But you know, you hear it time and time again. There's no saber-toothed tiger out there trying to eat you, at least not in the States, okay? Unless you go somewhere in the wild, right? But you know what I mean? Like your life is not threatened. You're not gonna die, right? If you approach that girl, or if you go out there and you say you see a guy that you're interested in, you're like, you know what? Maybe I should just shoot my shot. And it's always the guys doing that. Let me try it, right? Maybe, you know, do a little bit more low key, right? Your ladies, the easiest pickup line you guys ever have is hi. Okay? We have to put in a lot more effort. You guys, you ladies, just say hi. Boom, instantly. His mind, he's like, oh, she's on to me, right? What's up, Bree? Long time no see. So yeah. And here's the truth. I have those days too where I tell myself, look, Mitchell, you're not doing enough, or you're not enough, right? And it happens. It happens to me. But you know what I do know is the fact is, I know that's not true. And sometimes when I feel that way, it doesn't mean it's true. Do you know why? Because I got shit to back it up. I'm like, okay, look at all the accomplishments that you say you're not good enough. Okay, look at all the things that you've done. Look back at it. Do you think a person that is not worthy or doesn't feel worthy enough could do all this? It's like, no. Okay, all right. Then get your ass back out there and start doing more. Do a little bit more. Okay, if this is how you're feeling, do something about it, right? All right. Now, what others will sense, okay? This is my slide number 2. Slide number 2. What others will sense. Failure is not a single I can't even pronounce this. It's by Jim Rohn. Catastrophic. I'm just gonna say catastrophic event. All right. You don't fail overnight. Instead, fail is a few errors in judgment repeated every day. That's it. So unless you change something about your errors, guess what? It's gonna continue to be the same way, right? So it's not one big thing, right? You don't just blow up overnight. You know what I mean? It just doesn't happen. And maybe you get lucky, okay? And you get one nice video and it blows up. But guess what? If that's all you got, guess what? No one's gonna look at your content and be like, wow, right? And same thing as blowing up too, okay? We could talk about our bodies blowing up. You don't just gain 50 pounds overnight. You don't just gain 100 pounds. It's sequence, okay? It's day by day, living your life too comfortably, right? Watching Netflix, eating too many hot Cheetos. I love hot Cheetos, okay? I haven't had hot Cheetos in a long time. I want hot Cheetos. It's there, but I have discipline. And Anyways, that's not important, right? What's important is if you don't think you're good enough, the things you do and the things you say will communicate that. Okay? It will be in your demeanor. Okay? It will be in your outward manner. It will be in your manner, and it will be in your behavior, right? Your conduct, what you do and what you say and how you say it in your tone. So taking a deeper look, if you look at the media and you look at the ads, it will always tell you things like you're not good enough. You are not good enough. You're not doing enough. You're not doing enough, right? So shout out to Julian himself. This is what I got from him. So you're not enough, right? You need to be better. You need to be stronger. You need to hustle. You need to meditate. You need to hustle more, and you need to meditate more. And guess what? Well, you're meditating too much. Now you need to go hustle some more, right? Etc. Right? It's always constantly telling you that you're not enough. And you know what? That's what the media and it feeds us, and that's what we start believing in. Now, the bottom line is, quote unquote, you are not enough, right? That's what it says. But then, here's the beauty of this. The flip side of the coin is when you learn to let that go. When you learn to let go of things like, oh, I'm not enough. I'm not enough. You're no longer chasing that one thing that's running away from you anymore, right? You ever notice when you're constantly chasing something, it's never enough? So going back to my previous episodes, which is getting attention versus paying attention. When you pay attention to yourself, you're always following you're at your own pace, at your own time, at your own heart, at your own, right? Everything is at your own. But when you're trying to get attention, guess what happens? You're always trying to get it from somewhere else. And guess what happens when happiness is placed somewhere else? It becomes a moving target. And when it becomes that moving target, the moment you don't land on that quote unquote happiness over here, it's kind of like Pong, right? I'm giving out my age. And it no longer hits that happiness, you're no longer happy, right? So the last thing you ever want is to put happiness on somebody else or on something else, right? I see a lot of people in relationships. They're like, she makes me so happy. I'm like, dude, why aren't you happy on your own? She should make you happier. That's great. But you should be a great person with or without her. And that's how you could share your completeness, right? Not you complete me, which is one of the biggest fallacies in Hollywood. Like, don't believe that. Like, you complete me. It sounds great. But what happens when they're not there? You become codependent, needy, obsessive, jealous, insecure, things like that, right? So be careful what you tell yourself, right? So now do you take a deeper look, saying that you're not good enough, and then you learn to let that go. Now you're no longer chasing something that's running away from you. Now it's about releasing, right? Releasing that and sinking that into you. You're sinking that into you, your core values. So what are your core values, right? Those things you don't compromise, right? But those who do compromise their core values are those who try to find happiness outside of themselves, right? So for example, you're on this date, okay? And let's just say you really, really, really like this person in front of you, right? So you're trying to please this person. So whatever he says or she says, right? You start changing your mind about it. Say, for example, I've seen guys do this all the time where he really likes a girl because of her beauty or whatever. And guess what happens? He goes, oh yeah, I like the color blue. She's like, I think I like purple more. Oh yeah, I like purple too. So he starts agreeing with you, right? And another thing, and it's now you're going against what you truly believe. Maybe what you truly believe is honesty, because you want people to be honest with you and you want to be honest to them. But because you like them so much, you don't want to lose them. You're in this scarcity type of mindset. You start displaying behaviors from a place of weakness because you don't want to lose this chance with them. But instead, you should really start matching yourself with people that aligns with similar goals and similar values. So if your value is honesty and they like purple and you're like, I think purple is the right color, right? And maybe you could kind of branch off and ask different questions on that. Like, what's your favorite type of purple, right? Or what things do you like that is purple? Because you can't like everything that's on purple, or on purple on everything, right? So anyways, I've seen guys do that. And also, say you're with a group of boys, your homies or whatever, and they like to lie and cheat to their wives or girlfriends or whatever, and you're just not that type of person that likes to do that, right? And they'd be like, come on, like, she won't find out. Nah. That's not what I do. I mean, you guys could do that. That's not on me. I don't want to participate in those acts, because you value loyalty. And just because they don't, but you do, guess what happens when you hop on that type of act? You go against your values again, right? When you go against your values, and that's not who you align yourself to be, it's gonna go against who you are as a person. And when you constantly do things like that goes against who you are, guess what's gonna happen to your character? It diminishes a little bit, and it starts breaking down, and it starts breaking you down. And so that's why, with a quote by Fyodor Dostoevsky, a man who lies to himself and believes his own lie. I wish I could finish that sentence, but I can't. A man who lies to himself and believes his own lies. I have to look it up right after this. All right, I can't figure it out right now. Basically, he acts. Yeah, I'll figure it out later. Anyways, so core values, right? Now, when you act in ways that goes against what you believe, you're no longer seeking happiness from within. You're no longer the type of person you want to be. But when you start releasing it, okay, when you start releasing it and being true to who you are, that is how you can operate from a place of authenticity. That is who you are. That's where you're grounded. Those are your beliefs. These are your values. And you want to lean on that a little bit more. And at the same time, as you're leaning on that, you want to protect that at all costs, because people around you will try to take that away from you, right? Say, for example, you got tired of it. You're like, I don't want to live like this anymore. I want to live like a person that is honest. Maybe you grew up lying, deceiving others, manipulating. And then finally you're like, I don't like this. I don't like how I treat other people, how other people sees me, like this manipulator. I no longer want to do this. But then yet the people you're around don't mind that you were a manipulator, as long as it wasn't on them, right? So you decided to change. You decided to become a better person, a person with higher morals, integrity, right? And they'd be like, dude, like, what's up with this? Like, why are you changing, right? At that point, if that doesn't align with you, you got to change your friends. That's basically it. Because they're going to try to take that away from you. Because at the same time, maybe they're a liar, maybe they're a cheater, and maybe they're a manipulator. And so if you're not around that shit no more, guess what? You get to start operating from a place of least resistance, right? There's less friction, not least resistance, but there's less friction involved, right? There's less obstacle. You don't have to wake up every morning and need that mental battle. You could just operate from there, where it's a lot better, right? Imagine waking up every morning and all you ever hear is people like telling you what to do, nagging to you, right? It's like, don't you want an easygoing, easy to get along with type of life? I sure do. Maybe some people don't. Maybe they like drama. I don't like drama. Okay. So now here's the beauty of all this. When you start becoming that person that you want to become, you start to attract those right people. You're no longer chasing anymore. It naturally attracts the right people. Now, a lot of what your behaviors and what you do and what you say still has a lot to do with it. But at the same time, as you're becoming a better person, and we all know that progression is not a linear scale, right? It kind of dips. Sometimes you feel like shit. Sometimes you're like, God damn. But at the end of the day, when you look back, you're like, damn, I was down there. Now I'm up here, but there's still way more to go. Like it's a lifelong process to always get better. And you only get better for yourself. And then naturally you attract the right people into your life. And that's the beauty of it, right? Too many people operate from a place of chasing. And because deep down, they don't feel like they're enough. They feel like they're not enough for other people. And that's why they have to act like, oh, I need to please this person so that I could constantly get their attention, right? They always have to come from a place of inauthentic place, right? This fake front. And especially women, y'all can smell this a mile away, right? Now let's talk about giving unworthy vibes, right? And I'm talking about men. I'm talking about men here, men in particular. Because when you give out vibes that you're unworthy, when you doubt yourself because you lack, when you doubt yourself because of the lack of doing things, you're going to start displaying behaviors of unworthy vibes. You're like, you feel like you're unworthy. How does it look like? If I told you, and you don't know this person at all, right? It's hiding behind this curtain over here. This person has low self-esteem. Okay, I want you to picture this. Picture a person with low self-esteem, low confidence, doesn't really know what to say to a person, right? They're kind of sad. Explain to me, at least in your mind, right? What's their body like? What are they doing? How are they displaying themselves? Are they upright, or are they kind of slouching? Do they cross their arms a lot, or are they more open? Explain to me, right? And we don't know this person at all, but it's funny how things are so universal, right? You already said it to yourself, right? More than likely, you're like, oh, they're probably kind of hunched over, they're closed off, they're kind of looking down, they're not really looking up, they don't really want to show the world, right? So a lot of it is posture too, right? Like your posture has a lot to do with your behaviors and how you constantly see the world, because that's your subconscious. If you're always walking down, crossing your arms, sometimes I find myself crossing my arms too, okay, when I'm talking to somebody, because it's comfortable sometimes. But I'm like, this feels comfortable, but I need to open this up. What's up, man? Right? Like I will open myself back up just so that I could be like, all right, I know you're comfortable, Mitchell, but that's not the comfortable position from a place of operating from a place of strength. All right, so you need to start doing a little bit better sometimes. All right, and now I'm like, all right, you're right, and I uncross my arms. Okay, so women or people in general, right? They can feel that. They can feel your doubt. They can feel your lack, right? Your unworthy type of vibes, right? And if you constantly communicate that you lack confidence, and the number one most important thing to any woman is confidence. Okay, that's the number one most attractive thing to any woman is confidence, right? Think of all the celebrities that y'all like. Okay, what do they have? Confidence. Whether they're performing on stage, they're acting in front of a screen, they're doing something. They have confidence, okay, in themselves, okay, because it feels like they're there, they could protect. They're there. You don't want someone that's always hiding behind you when shit happens, okay? So confidence. Now, when you constantly communicate that you lack confidence, examples are that you don't feel worthy of being there. You're placing them on a pedestal. Or another question is, she's out of my league. I've heard so many guys say that. When he says she's out of your league, I'm like, what makes her out of your league? Oh, she's just so pretty. Well, what does pretty have to do with anything? Just because they're pretty, like, have you spoken to this person? Is this person a good person? Like, that's what you should really be looking into. Just because they could they take care of their body, their whatever, and they act like a asshole towards you, is that someone that you're willing to put up with? Like, can you put up with that for a long time? Like, it depends. What are your goals? What do you want? Right? And the more I ask them the question, the less likely they could answer this. I'm like, so what? So who puts this list of, like, what makes this person out of your league? Like, who has a league? What makes the league? Right? And they're like, no, it's just something that people, like, when you look, I'm like, okay, you're fumbling with your words. There's no league. It's all in your head. It's all in your head. Okay, just because they're pretty, just because they take care of themselves, it doesn't mean that they're out of your league. It means that, hey, you know what? You find someone that's attractive. Your mentality should be, well, what else does this person have to offer? That's great that you look great. It's beautiful. that you take care of yourself, and that's what attracts me initially through my eyes. But also at the same time, I want to hear what you have to say, because you know how guys, like, they could fall in love with anybody, right? Guys fall in love a lot faster. I don't know if you ladies ever heard it, but maybe a guy that you dated once told you that he loves you on like the second or third date. Little bit too quick, right? And that's feminine energy. Leave it up to the woman to say that. It's on them. Okay, anyone that contests that, you don't know shit about it. All right. So, woman wants a guy that feels like he's worthy of being there, not someone who thinks he does not deserve her. Okay, at the end of the day, this is what happens. Woman does the choosing at the end of the day. It doesn't matter how much you like her. At the end of the day, she's the one that chooses you. I'm not the creator of this. Talk to the man upstairs. All right, talk to the man upstairs. They do the choosing. Okay, all the guy has to do is become the most irresistible option. That's all I've been saying this whole time, and I'm gonna consistently say that. Be the most irresistible option, right? Now, if there were 10, 20, even 30 guys, right? 30 guys trying to get at her, trying to get with her, and you're out here pursuing her while others are chasing her, but you're indifferent about things, like you're constantly working on yourself, you're kind to other people, your core values, you live your life according to your values, and you build on that, and you're building your career, you're building yourself mentally, you're building yourself physically, you're developing a good social skill, you're able to communicate with other people and say different things, right? And you're constantly working on yourself. Guess what's gonna happen? You're gonna naturally attract the right people into your life. While others are like, oh yeah, I just sit at home and watch movies all day. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you constantly do that way too damn much, and you constantly eat hot Cheetos or whatever, right? Just processed food, and you don't really take care of yourself mentally or physically, it's gonna show. It's gonna show when you talk to somebody, how you look physically, right? So this is what happens, right? Now, when there's 10 to 20 guys trying to get at her, I bet you most of those guys don't really got anything going for themselves. Most of them don't. And when you're the one that's actually constantly working on yourself and you're doing your own thing, that's why when I say, like, masculine men, they focus on their purpose, they focus on their mission, they focus on what drives them to be who they want to be, right? It doesn't matter what you want to be, right? As long as you're passionate about what you want to become, and that's the person who you want to become, and you act on ways that goes with your values, you're gonna be a person that's like, damn, they're gonna see that shit. And that's the beauty of it. Okay, now, because typically this is what happens, and shout out to Coach Corey Wayne, right? Because typically the guy that feels like they don't deserve to be there, this is what happens. They're often jealous, right? They're often insecure, they're controlling, they're needy, and rather than communicating from a place of strength, they communicate from a place of weakness, which is constantly acting from a place of fear. And usually these type of guys that are insecure, controlling, needy, they get jealous all the time. What do they have? They have anger issues. They're aggressive, whether it's physically or verbally. Okay. And these are the people that, because we all know that behind anger is fear, and their fear is they're afraid they're going to lose this person. They're afraid that if they don't control them, that they're gonna run away, right? That's why they gotta constantly look at the phone, and they constantly in this place of, I need more. They're chasing all the time. Instead, if you just kind of sit back and you work on yourself and you become a great person and become a great human being, people is gonna see that. They're naturally gonna come towards you, right? So that's why developing a social skill, right? Communication, really important. Oh, thank you, Shelby. I appreciate you too. Thank you. Almost done though, right? So yeah, they're constantly coming from this place of fear, right? And what I would like to touch base on is when guys that displays a lot of confidence, like up front, and they don't know that though, that confident, like I call it false confidence, right? Because when they go up to her and they're like, damn, like he approached me, he was talking to me, but deep down he doesn't really feel like he's worthy enough. He's insecure, right? The woman mistaking that with confidence. That's not true confidence. True confidence comes from knowing that, hey, you know what? If you don't want to be with me, I know eventually somebody else will, right? And he's humble about it, right? And those are the type of guys that you should kind of look out for, because these are people of value, right? And that's not value as in like, I could replace you in a minute. Not that type of attitude. But it's more like, you know, if you don't want me, I'm indifferent about it. I'm not bothered by that. It's like if he asks you, hey, you know, there's this place, like right now, off the top of my head, there's one place that I want to try, which is, it's like a dry noodle spot. It's a dipping noodle. I never heard of it. I heard of it. I never tried it. But there's a place I want to try. It's a dipping noodle spot, right? Let's just say someone I'm interested in, and I'd be like, hey, guess what we should do? And she'd be like, what? I'll be like, there's this noodle spot that I've been dying to try. Never tried it. Never really had the time. Not had the time. I just never really made the time to go there. I'd love to go there. I'd love for you to join me. As long as you're okay with noodles not having soup in it. And she'd be like, yeah, that's actually sounds like a great idea. I'd be like, great. Perfect. I'll pick you up, or I'll meet you there, whatever, on this time, on this day, right? Set a definite date. And that's not another thing too. It's like guys, they don't set definite dates. When they set definite dates, it means location, the time and the date, and I will see you there, or I'll pick you up at your house or whatever, right? Like figure out your locations, all that. That's a definite date. And then you don't have to say anything afterwards. Like, let's just say if today's 30th, right? And I scheduled something with you on a Friday of next week, which is January 5th, okay, 2024. If I said that, if I say that I'm gonna go and see you on this time, on this date, at this time, right? You best believe I'm gonna fucking be there, okay? Even if you didn't hear from me for the entire week, I'm gonna be there, okay? Now, that's coming from a place of being congruent, saying what you mean and mean what you say, right? And that's why, like, there was a time in my life where I said a lot of things and I never met up, like I kept up with it. I remember when I told one of my clients that I was gonna see him at 6 o'clock. And guess what happened? I overslept. And I just hated that. I hated being that like late to my appointment, and that bothered me a lot. They was like, oh dude, it's okay, things happen. I was like, yeah, like oversleeping that's something that I should have like really kept on check. It was because I didn't sleep well the night before. I didn't sleep early enough, and that was my fault, right? So I went and I checked that. And the number one most important thing to me is when I see my clients, I'm never ever late. If anything, I'm an hour early. And when I'm an hour early, guess what I get to do? I get to work out. I get to focus on myself. And by the time they see me after that hour, I have much more energy. I'm much more focused. I'm more energetic. I'm in a better place. I'm more grounded, right? Whereas they're still like, oh, I'm just getting up. I'm like, don't worry. This is what you're going to do. You're going to warm up. You're going to do this, right? They're like, damn, how do you have so much energy? I was like, I didn't. I just gave myself an extra hour. That's all I did, right? So, you know, anyways, going back and forth. But yeah, men who are often, they because typically guys that feel like that they don't deserve you, they display those type of behaviors of jealousy, insecurity, right? Neediness, controlling, and they keep operating from a place of fear, right? Now, the goal here is to become great at what you do and be humble about it, right? So, and these are kind of the things that I value, right? He was humble about it. He was great at what he does, and he's humble about it. Same thing. Like when I watch Neil perform, I'm like, damn, like he's great at what he does. He could sing, he could dance, and he sounds exactly how he sings when he's on a microphone. And when he puts out his music, he sounds exactly the same way, right? So I was like, okay, that's something that I value, is being honest. He's honest. And he said it himself. He was like, I put in a lot of work to sound the way I sound while on stage and in in the booth when he's recording his music. Right nowadays, you hear like people with microphones that has auto tune in it, and it's kind of like, it kind of defeats the purpose. But I get it, like you could fool other people, but you can't fool them forever, right? So, you want to make what you do seem effortless, right? Success is doing ordinary things extraordinarily well. That's it. So it's anybody could do it. It's just how well you can do that simple thing, right? Now, I have pillars of attractiveness, okay? And this is something that I saw that I was like, okay, this is kind of interesting. So all this slide today is a mixture. It's like a little what do you want to call it? Fried rice. You just dump in a whole bunch of things in there of the things I found that was kind of valuable, right? So pillars of attractiveness, right? Number one, and it might seem like it's shallow, but it's really for yourself, okay? So number one is fitness, okay? Fitness. So in fitness, what's fitness, right? You could say there's strength training, there's cardio, right? Cardio is good for your heart. Strength training is like the building blocks for your body, right? You want to maintain, if not, gain some more muscle, so you're a lot stronger, so you could move when you get older, okay? And there's nutrition, right? You could do two out of those three things, you could still get very far. You could do one of those three things if you haven't done any of those at all, and you will see changes. But if you want the biggest change, it's by doing all three of those, okay? In fitness, at least. Strength training, nutrition, and cardio, okay? So take care of your body, it will take care of you. Number two is fashion, okay? Fashion. Wear what you like, but there's a way to wear it, okay? I'm far from being the most what do you call it, fashionable guy. I don't think I'm fashionable like that, okay? I just like to wear things that fit, and sometimes I like things that's a little bit loose, okay? But there's a way to wear it. I don't exactly know how to tell you, okay? Trends change all the time. I just focus on things like, okay, if this shirt don't fit me the way it used to be, then I go back to fitness. I'm like, why didn't it fit? Okay, it's because you've been eating too much junk, Mitchell, and you haven't really been working on yourself enough, or you've been slacking off, so that's why it doesn't fit, Mitchell. I'm like, all right, I got to get back to that, right? It keeps me accountable. So fashion, right? Self-grooming, right? So as a man, you don't really need to do too much, right? You just got to groom yourself a little bit, right? So make sure your nails aren't long. To me, these are pretty long already. I don't really like to see too much white. But anyways, I like to keep my nails kind of short. It doesn't need to be polished or anything like that. Ladies, I know maybe you love long nails. Maybe you love having your nails done, right? But ladies, you ladies put a lot of effort into your hair, your eyelashes, your eyebrows, makeup, right? Your smile. I don't know if you whiten your teeth, things like that, right? But here's what I'm saying. Clip your nails if it's long, okay? If you have nasty ass nose hair, this goes for everybody, okay? Not just men, but mostly, I've seen a lot of guys not really give a shit. But if you got nose hair, clip those. Make those kind of go away. So it's, if you have chappy ass lips, just lip balm, okay? If you have acne, find out what skin type you are and then go accordingly to that. And then, buy some things, or maybe it's your eating habits. Maybe eating like shit is what you're putting in your body, right? That comes back out, right? So if you have a beard, like how I do, right? If you have a beard, keep it neat, okay? Do something about your hair, okay? Because ladies, they put a lot of effort into it. You could put at least some type of effort into the things that you do too as well. Hygiene, right? Get your teeth right, get your breath on point, and make sure your body don't smell like shit. That's basically it, okay? Don't overspray cologne, because I've seen some people, okay? Careers. I wouldn't say what are people that helps people with careers. I don't know. I'm not an expert on this. What I find to focus on is I like to, me personally, I like to focus on the things that I like and I want to capitalize on that. And I like to find ways on progressing on that. Even if it means that I don't make the most money then, I am at least much more at peace and I get to move up, and it only goes up from there. That's how I operate. If you have better advice, let me know. Okay. Social skills, right? Go out and talk to people, compliment them with no expectations of anything in return. If you're too shy, then this is what I used to do too. Okay. I used to be super shy, but I was super shy. I couldn't look at people in the eyes at all. And so, even to this day, I still kind of have like a little bit of that anxiety. But once I get past it, it doesn't really bother me too much anymore. But I used to have an exercise that I did, which is every day I'll go out. And when I go out, I'll have a pen and a piece of paper. I have a pen and a piece of paper, and I'll write down the color of the eyes. It could be any stranger. I don't need to know their name. I don't need to know anything. I just be like, hey, how's it going? Or, happy holidays when it's the holidays, right? And I'll look at them in the eye, and then I'll be like, okay, blue, brown, right? Black. Okay. If you write yellow, something's wrong. So those are kind of like the pillars, right? Just focus on those things. Now, you always want to build your character. Now, as you're doing this, you have core values, right? What are some of the values that you want, that you're piecing together, right? So operate from that, okay? From a place of values. And you can't really go wrong if you operate from who you are, and becoming better as time goes on. And that is all that I have for today. And so I'm going to conclude this with a summary, which is slide number 1, feeling of unworthiness. Feeling of unworthiness are some symptoms of low self-esteem. And our self-esteem improves when we identify our values and regulate our behaviors to match them. Slide number 2, what others will see, will sense. If you don't think you're good enough, the things you do and the things you say will communicate that. When you're no longer chasing something that's running away from you, and you start operating from a place of your own values, your core values, you start attracting those right people into your life, right? So you're no longer chasing those others. And slide number 3, giving unworthy vibes. Women or people in general could feel that. And if you constantly operate from a place of, or when you constantly communicate from a place of lacking confidence, they're going to sense that, and you're going to repulse them. Okay. And because typically when guys that have those type of behaviors, they're usually insecure, they're controlling, they're needy, they're often jealous, right? And within those 4 at the least, they could become aggressive, whether it's physically or verbally, right? And that's not something that will make a woman feel safe, okay, or anybody feel safe around. Okay. And lastly, the pillars of attractiveness, which is like fashion, fitness, self-grooming, social skills, and your career, right? Those are some of the things you want to work on. And here's a great thing. We get to work on ourselves every single day. And there are days where you dip down a little bit and you don't feel like you're enough, or even worse, you feel like you regressed. That's okay. It means that you're only human, okay? I still have those days sometimes. And when I do have that, reflect on the things that you've done, so that you're like, if you haven't done enough, then what you're saying might validate that. But if you look back and you be like, damn, you actually did a lot, but now you're slipping a little bit, and that's okay. It means that maybe you're a little burnt, and that's okay. We'll get back into it, right? Same thing for the gym, right? My number 1 most important thing whenever I go to the gym is safety. I don't care. It's safety. The last thing I ever want you to do is go to the gym and hurt yourself, because that's going to regress you 2 months, 3 months, maybe even a year, depending on the injury. So safety is number 1. Your progressions are little by little, right? So take your time, right? Take your time building your mental strength. Take the time to build your physical strength and start operating from those. And then guess what happens when these two start aligning, right? Your physical body and your mind. You have the soul, right, if you will, or your spirit, if you will. And that's when you could start being who you are authentically. And that's a place of bliss. That's what I love. That's what I like. That's why I preach it. If you guys like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you on the next live. All right, thank you so much for watching. Peace.